Hello, my name is Susan Winkelstein, and I'm a funeral director with Chicago Jewish Funerals. We're about to begin the services for Mrs. Elaine B Isaacson, and officiating today is Rabbi Barry Axler.
Our Jewish funeral service begins with the Kriyah, or tearing the black ribbon. It's a custom that dates back to two biblical moments. First, when Jacob saw what he thought was the blood of Joseph on his coat of many colors, our Bible says that he tore his clothes. And then many years later, when King David learned that his eldest son had been killed, in his grief he fell to the floor and also tore his clothes. So this expression of tearing has been part of our Jewish funeral service now for over 3,000 years. And the external tearing has come to symbolize the broken hearts inside. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, dayan ha'emet. Oh, blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who is the one judge of all truth. It's the measure of a woman. And not how did she die, but how did she live? And not what did she gain, but what did she give? These are the units to measure the worth of a woman as a woman, regardless of her birth. Now, what was her station? But had she a heart? And how did she play her God-given part? Was she ever ready with a word of good cheer to bring back a smile or banish a tear? Not what was her shrine, nor what was her creed, but had she befriended those really in need? And not what did the sketch in the newspaper say, but how many were sorry when she passed away. She is gone, and you can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind and be empty and turn your back, or you could do what she would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. At times like this, words fail us, and so we turn to our Psalms, and if you can, please join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anoints my head with oil, and my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Eshet Chayil Miyimsa. This is Proverbs 31. A woman of valor who can find? She is more precious than fine pearls. She perceives that her labor is rewarding and her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and she extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her family rise up and they bless her, and they sing her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you excel them all. You are a light inside my soul, inside my heart, so full of hope. Your light shines in my memory. I honor you as a part of me. I still remember all the things about your smile, the way you always made me feel. Those little things that we did together in our time, in me, your energy is real. You are a light inside my soul, inside my heart, so full of hope. Your light shines in my memory. I honor you as a part of me. Having had you in my life is such a gift to me. I know you didn't want to leave, but my life goes on, and I change, and I grow, and I learn, and I know that's what you'd want from me. You are a light inside my soul, inside my heart, so full of hope. Your light shines in my memory. I honor you as a part of me. A life well lived cannot be diminished by death. The beauty, guidance, and inspiration it gave us will shine on as brightly as ever. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, but life leaves a memory no one can steal. Those we love remain part of us. Our loved ones leave the world, but never our hearts. Elaine is a part of who you are, of how you see the world, of how you live and give, and those priceless gifts are yours forever. You know, we have the holiday of Passover coming up in just a week or so. And we're all familiar with that famous biblical scene of Moses standing before the burning bush, a bush that was on fire but not consumed. Elaine Isaacson was just the opposite. She consumed us with her fire, with her passion, with her love. Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel once said that God created woman and man because he loves stories. And so we've gathered here this afternoon to recall, to remember, and to commemorate the wonderful story that was the life of Elaine Isaacson. In describing the passing of our first matriarch, Sarah, our Bible says that Sarah lived to be 127 years old. And what the Bible doesn't say is that Sarah died at 127, but that Sarah lived to be 127, underscoring that what is most important in life is how we live and not how we die. Elaine lived a wonderful life of love for her daughter Barbara and her husband Charles, a life of love for her grandchildren Jacqueline and Matthew, Andy and Merrill, Heather and Andrew. She lived a life of love for her great-grandchildren, Lexi and Bradley, and Mia and Mason, and Daniel and Lila and Alex. She lived a life of love for her brother Marvin. She lived a life of love for her devoted caregivers. She lived a life of love for her extended family and her many, many friends. Our tradition teaches us that when we pass on, we leave behind only two things. And they are two Hebrew words that not only sound alike, but they come from the same root. One is Yerusha, the other is Morasha. Now, Yerusha are your material assets. They're your bank accounts, or your real estate holdings, or your stocks and bonds. But Morasha is the essence of who you are. The characteristics about yourself that you leave behind for family and friends who love you and who will miss you. I don't know, nor I care to know, what Elaine's Yerusha was. But after hearing from Barbara, I can tell you what her Morasha was. It was an unconditional love for her family. It was a reaching out and caring for others. And it was a real zest for life. You know, in the very first words of the Bible, it says, "Let there be light." And there was light. But it wasn't until day 4 that God creates the sun and the moon. So if God creates the sun and the moon on day 4, what was this light that God was talking about in the very first sentences? So I believe that light was the light of God. And since the world wasn't complete, God put that light into each and every one of us. And when we lead good lives, and when we care for others, that light shines forth and makes this world better. Every single person here and on the Zoom knows that Elaine had that light. And when it shone forth and hit you, it inspired you to do better and to be better. You know, on the drive up from the city today, a song came over the radio, and it touched me for this service today. It was a 1960s hit song that was written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David and sung by Dionne Warwick. For how can I forget you when there is always something there to remind me? Each and every one of you will always have a special moment, a special memory, a special something that will always remind you of Elaine. For as the song concludes, for how can I forget you when there is always something there to remind me? I was born to love you, and I will never be free because you'll always be a part of me. Since you're from New York, I'd like to share with you the words of Father Michael Judge. Father Judge was a chaplain for the New York City Fire Department who perished in 9/11 saving lives. And a month or so before he died, Father Judge wrote, hang on to your memories, hang on to your moments, and hang on to each other. Hang on to your memories of Mom. Hang on to the wonderful moments you had with her. You're a wonderful family. The most important gift you can give her is to hang on to each other. I was very moved by all the things that Barbara shared with me about her mother. So I'd like to share with you a very personal, a very special poem whose message I know Elaine Isaacson would have approved, would have embraced. It's entitled, If I Knew. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd see you fall asleep, I would tuck you in more tightly, and I'd pray the Lord your soul to keep. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd see you walk out the door, I would give you a hug and a kiss and call you back for one more. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd hear your voice lifted up in praise, I would videotape each action and word so I could play them back day after day. If I knew it would be the last time that I would be there to share your day, I would not say you'll have so many more that I can let just this one slip away. I would not think that there's always tomorrow to make up for an oversight and that we always get a second chance to make everything just right. So just in case today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you. And I hope that we never forget that tomorrow is not promised to anyone, young or old alike, and today may be the last chance that you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take the extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss, and you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their one last wish. So hold your loved one close today and whisper in their ear and tell them how much you love them and that you'll always hold them dear. And take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. Elaine's passing cannot diminish the important ways that she touched your lives, and your grief cannot take away the happiness that you shared. In your memories of her, may you find comfort. In your family and friends, may you find love. And in your hearts, may you find the strength to help you through this very difficult time. So may the memory of Elaine B Isaacson always be a blessing to us. May it inspire us to do better and to be better. And in her honor, may God grant you comfort and peace during this very difficult time. Amen. It's now my honor to call upon son-in-law, but not-in-law, Charles, who has some words to share with us from members of the family.
Our daughter Jackie asked us to please read what she had written. It was one of Elaine's 3 grandchildren. Today we say goodbye to the sweetest woman, a woman who loved clothing, loved makeup, loved taking good care of herself, yet more than anything, loved her daughter, her son-in-law, and her family. Grandma was the perfect example of how a person who takes care of themselves inside and out, always eating so healthy and worrying about little, can live a long, happy, and content life. She was fortunate to have lived 98 years, 100% of that time with kindness, sweetness, patience, generosity, and contentment. Her greatest accomplishment by far was being the mother to my mom and passing along all her wonderful qualities down to the generations that follow. We will always love you, Grandma. We'll always miss you. 98 years young and 100% goodness. That is how we will remember you. Heather had sent a video that I'm hoping will be able to stream to say a few words about Grandma.
Hi, I'm Heather Helper, and I wanted to share some words about my grandma Elaine. Grandma was pure sweetness, with the most calm demeanor and pleasant disposition. Nothing ever seemed to bother her. We always wanted her to move to New York to be close to us, but she was happy and content in her little plastic-covered house, which was like a museum to me and my brother and sister. We used to laugh at the way she would sail through life with a smile on her face and not a care in the world. She never wanted to intrude in our space, but always was there to show us how much she cared from afar. Even well into her 90s, we were always surprised how alert and aware she was. Every conversation, she asked about each member of Andrew's family. She loved to shop for lots of fancy clothing, lots of fancy shoes, loved to take care of the house, loved the Cheesecake Factory, or as she called it, the Cheese Factory, and especially loved her makeup, just like me. I was so impressed with her wise intuition, which told her that my grandpa would come back to her one day. Who knew that she was right? I think about 50 years after her divorce, we celebrated their 94th birthdays together, and he said, "I would like to sit next to my wife." The next day, she called my mom to say, "So, what did he say about me?" It was very sweet. It was the first and only day that I ever saw my grandparents speak to each other, and it's a very special memory that I will cherish. My mom was her sun, her moon, and her stars. She must have inherited her even temper and permanent cheer from my grandma. She was the most devoted and loving daughter, and I will always appreciate her love and her care for my grandma. May the memory of her 98 incredible years be for a blessing.
I wrote something. My mom, I might need help. My mom, Elaine, was a very special. Could you read it? Would you read it?
Sure.
If you could read my handwriting.
Oh, maybe Charles reads your handwriting better.
Okay.
Okay.
My mom, Elaine,
Was a very special lady. Everyone loves her. No one ever had a bad word to say about her. She never wanted to inconvenience anyone. She loved to give. Mom always thought of others. Her way of giving was to buy a gift. She was very generous in that respect, but she never wanted anyone to buy her a gift. Over the years, I would buy her gifts. Years later, when it came to visit, I always had to organize and clean out her closets. She liked saving things so that she would always have something new to wear. As I would clean, I would find the gifts I had bought still unused. At that point, she would say, "Why don't you take that?"
It's true. Yeah. She was the model 1950s housewife. She cooked and was always cleaning. She would wash the kitchen floor twice a day. Food was very important to her. When I was in high school, she made me eat a healthy dinner, even if I said I was going out to eat. She was extremely health conscious long before being healthy, eating healthy was popular. She used to read Prevention Magazine, a health magazine. Her diet consisted of lots of fruits and vegetables, as some people here know. Never anything fried, only baked, boiled, or broiled. But every meal had to have a dessert. She loved an ice cream sundae. Mom loved to dress me up as her little doll. She used to put pin curls in my hair every night and dress me in frilly clothes. Her brother moved into her house 45 years ago when I got married to Charlie and moved to New York. She did everything for him until he passed away 2 years ago. Mom never thought she would grow old. She always thought of herself as young. What a great outlook on life she had. She never complained. In her own way, this sweet, quiet lady was really a very strong and resilient woman. I would miss speaking to her every day. I love you and I'm going to miss you. And as Charlie noticed, you're across the street from your favorite place, Nordstrom's. That's true. Yeah, I love you, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara, Charlie, granddaughters. You know, that she had a love of food didn't surprise me because Elaine Isaacson had the right recipe for life. And the main ingredient in that recipe was the love she had for her family. As I listened to all the wonderful words, you know, if you've seen the play Hamilton, as I was just thinking about it, if you've seen the play Hamilton, you know that one of the themes of Hamilton is how to pass on your legacy. And there's a verse in Hamilton that goes through the entire play from beginning to end. Who lives? Who dies? Who will tell your story? Who will keep your flame? And who will remember your name? You will tell her story, Barbara and Charlie. You will remember her name, and you will always keep her flame. I ask you to please rise for a moment. Elmolei rachamim shochem bamromim, hamitzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashechina, b'ma'alot kedoshim u'tohorim k'zohar, Horakia Masirim et Nishmat Elaine B Isaacson, Shalachali Olamo. Elmolei rachamim, O exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Elaine Isaacson, who has gone on to her eternal home. O merciful one, we ask that she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say as one family, Amen. And you may be seated for a moment. I'd like to share with you one Jewish tradition, and that is that we have a belief in our faith in the resurrection of the dead. And according to and it's in one of our most important prayers 3 times a day. And according to tradition, those who will rise first are those who were buried either in the Mount of Olives Cemetery in Jerusalem, which is our holiest cemetery, or under earth from the Mount of Olives Cemetery. So I will now place some earth from the Mount of Olives Cemetery onto Mom's casket. The origins of our mourner's prayer, which is called the Kaddish, and can be found on the back of your pamphlets. The origins are very mysterious. Angels are said to have brought it down from heaven. It's the only prayer in our faith that has the power to link the living and the dead. But interestingly enough, if you were to look at the English translation, there's absolutely no mention of death in our mourner's prayer. Therefore, it causes us to focus on the blessings of life, and Elaine was certainly a blessing in our lives. So I ask you again to please rise for a moment and to join along with me, if you can, in our traditional mourner's prayer, the Kaddish, meaning holiness. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon, v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman koriv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mavarach li'olam, olamei almayim. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran b'yolma, v'imro amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Bimro amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Bimro amen. May the good Lord who makes peace in the high heavens grant peace and comfort to everyone who remembers and who mourns Elaine. And again, as one united family, let us answer. Amen.
This does conclude this service here at the Memorial Park Mausoleum Chapel. I wanted to encourage everyone, especially online, to share your stories, your personal reflections of Elaine Isaacson online at ChicagoJewishFunerals.com. Thank you very much.